Welcome, everybody, to Money Elementary Cheese Me.
Cheese Me. Welcome back, y'all. This is where we're going to go live and talk about, well, maybe not live, but we're going to talk about all the things that impact your wallet on what's going on in the news today.
With Cheese Me, for those that don't know, Cheese Me is short for chisme in Spanish, and that basically means gossip. So we're going to be gossiping about financial news and making it interesting and how it applies to you, the consumer. So today we are talking to, well, not today, but all the time. We're going to be talking to ChatGPT to go over different things that are going on in the news, asking ChatGPT questions, and we've named her MEIA. You want to say anything about MEIA?
MEIA instead of AI, IA.
So today we're talking about the big, beautiful bill.
I know you guys have heard it. It's the big, beautiful bill.
This is my first time hearing about it when you told me about it, and I was like, is this fake news? It's not, it's real. So we're going to talk about it today. Hi, MEIA, this is Vanessa, and today we want to talk about the big, beautiful bill that has been passed through the House.
Big, beautiful bill has passed through the House, and there's a lot to unpack. This bill proposes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts and $2 trillion in spending cuts over the next 10 years. Sounds good, right? Well, it depends. Some say it will boost the economy by lowering taxes and encouraging investment. But critics warn it could hurt programs like Medicaid and increase the national deficit. So the big question is this bill truly beautiful for everyone or just for a select few? What do you think, Vanessa?
MEIA, this is Heidi. Let's break down this bill and let's talk about how it's going to impact the general public, basically middle class or teachers and workers. What is the impact that this bill is going to have on our population?
Great question, Heidi. Let's break it down. For middle-class workers, teachers, and everyday employees, the big, beautiful bill could have mixed effects. Here's the T: tax cuts. Some middle-class households might see a slight reduction in taxes, but most of the biggest cuts are going to wealthier individuals and corporations. So while you might get a small break, billionaires are getting a huge one: cuts to public programs. To balance the tax cuts, the government plans to reduce spending by $2 trillion. This means programs like Medicaid, education funding, and social services could take a hit. What do you think, Heidi? Does this sound like a win for regular folks, or just another way to shift money upwards?
Well, it definitely sounds like we're shifting the money around. What percentage the middle class, what is the tax cut looking for them?
Heidi, according to The Guardian, the big, beautiful bill proposes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, but most of these benefits would go to the wealthiest individuals and corporations. Middle-class households might see a modest tax cut, but the exact percentage varies. However, the bill also includes $2 trillion in spending cuts, which could affect public services that many middle-class families rely on. So while there might be some tax relief, the overall impact could be mixed.
MEIA, this is Vanessa. How does cutting public programs benefit wealthy people?
Great question, Vanessa. Let's break it down. When the government cuts public programs, it's usually to offset tax cuts, which in this case benefit the wealthiest people and corporations the most. Here's how it works: less taxes for the rich. Wealthy individuals and big businesses get huge tax breaks, meaning they keep more of their income and profits instead of paying them into public funds. Cuts to social services. To make up for those lost tax dollars, the government spends less on programs like Medicaid, food assistance, and education, which middle and lower income families rely on more than the wealthy do.
Yeah, that sounds extremely problematic, MEIA. And so how does this affect our wallets?
Oh, Vanessa, this one hits where it hurts, right in the wallet. For regular folks, here's what happens when a bill like this goes into effect. Tiny tax breaks, if any. The middle class might see a small reduction in taxes, but not enough to make a real difference. Meanwhile, billionaires and corporations are saving millions or even billions, higher out-of-pocket costs. If funding for healthcare, education, and social programs is cut, guess what? You have to pay more yourself for things like medical bills, student loans, and even childcare, inflation, and price hikes. If the government is cutting revenue while spending is still high, it can increase the deficit, which could push inflation up. That means higher grocery bills, gas prices, and rent. So whatever tax cut you got, it disappears fast. More debt for the middle class. If wages don't rise but costs go up, people rely more on credit cards and loans to survive. And guess who profits from that? Banks and lenders owned by the rich. So instead of making middle-class wallets fatter, this bill could drain them even more.
So basically, they're painting a picture for us that we're all going to get tax cuts, the middle class. Mm-hmm. And in between all the fine print, they're removing health programs. They're removing education funds. They're removing student loan help. And it's almost like they're privatizing it. They're in the future. So people are going to be able to, rich people are going to be able to profit off of all the stuff that has been taken away from everyone. That was funded by the government is now going to be privatized, like healthcare, education, social programs. Wow.
Let's take one step back, because I think the word tax cut gets thrown around a lot, and I don't think a lot of people, or at one point I didn't know what it was. So basically, that means that in the IRS, you're either going to, if you usually pay, you're probably going to pay less when it comes time to do your taxes. Or if you get a refund, usually, that means you're going to get a larger refund. But that is only a moment in time. But what is it worth? Now you're meaning that all of inflation is going to go up because there are going to be too many things that are going to be taken away. So now you have to pay more for healthcare, you have to pay more for education, you have to pay more for social programs. So,
but you got that little tax refund.
Maybe you got an extra $500, $600. So I think that we should ask this question of, let's say that you're a person that has an employer that already has healthcare, right? Your kid is going to private school and you do not have any you don't participate in any type of social programs. Is there an impact for that individual? Because I think a lot of times that's what a lot of people are thinking is, I'm not part of a social program, and I don't need public education. I'm fine for paying it on my own. And I have an employer that gives me great benefits. How does that impact?
And let's ask. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. All right. Hi, MEIA. It's Vanessa. I have a question.
Hey, Vanessa, hit me with your question. What's on your mind?
Okay, so if an individual, a U.S. citizen, has healthcare provided by their employer, does not participate in any of the federal government programs, assistance, and does not and has their student in a private school, how would this bill affect them?
Great question, Vanessa. If someone has employer-provided health care, doesn't use government assistance, and sends their kid to private school, they might think this bill won't affect them much. Pero aquí viene el plot twist. It still does. Here's how. Inflation and cost of living. Even if they're financially stable, the bill could increase the national deficit, which can lead to inflation. This means higher gas, groceries, housing, and everyday expenses. So their paycheck won't stretch as far. Job market and wages. If public programs shrink, economic instability can rise. That can lead to slower wage growth or job cuts, even for those in solid careers. Healthcare costs could rise. Even with employer-provided healthcare, Cuts to Medicaid and Medicare impact the entire healthcare system. Hospitals and insurance companies charge more to make up for lost funding, which means higher premiums and medical bills, even for privately insured people. Private school, public impact. Their child may be in private school, but cuts to public education still matter. Fewer resources in public schools can lead to higher local taxes to fund them.
I'm going to stop it because she said something that really shook me. She said fewer resources in public schools can lead to higher local taxes.
Hi.
Hello.
So you might have noticed.
Yeah, that last video ended abruptly.
It sure did.
We had some technical difficulties.
Which happens with any startup, you know what I'm saying? When you're going through all these technical processes. So just bear with us. We're still going to go through the recap. And
Hang in there.
and we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill.
We are striving to get, to that perfect thing, but this one's not it. So
Yeah.
it'll get better.
So just give us some grace. We're giving ourselves some grace. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed what you did here.
So now it's time for the
Recap. Wah, 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 wah.
All right. So the big beautiful bill just passed the House and proposed 4.5 trillion in tax cuts and 2 trillion in spending cuts over 10 years. It didn't pass the Senate, so it's not yet set. So there's voting still going on.
And discussions. The biggest tax breaks, though, go to wealthy individuals and corporations, while middle-class families see minor relief, if any at all.
To pay for these cuts, the bill slashes public programs like Medicaid, education funding, and food assistance, impacting working-class families the most.
Experts warn that the bill could increase the national deficit, potentially leading to higher inflation and a higher cost of living.
Even people not on government assistance may feel the hit through higher healthcare costs, slower wage growth, and shrinking public services.
The bottom line is, while the bill is dressed up as beautiful for many Americans, especially the middle and working class, it's most definitely not a beautiful bill. It's more like a brutal bill.
Hence the name, brutal bill. Is that what we called it?
That's what we called it.
Yes, the big brutal bill.
It's more brutal than beneficial for us, middle, lower class people. And there you have it. That's the recap we wanted to give y'all. There's going to be so much conversation happening around the big beautiful bill in the next coming weeks because Republicans trying to push it. So we're going to give y'all all the cheese me on that.
All right. Thank you for giving us your time, and tune in.
Tune in next time. We'll see ya.
Money Elementary
Money Elementary.
with
MEIA. Yay. See y'all later. Toodles.
Hi, everyone. We are here at Money Elementary, Heidi and
Vanessa.
we want to clarify a few things before somebody gets the wrong idea.
Or a bad idea. And as exciting or boring as it may be, please listen through all of our legal disclaimer information so that you understand up front that in this podcast, Money Elementary, we are not a financial advisor. If you need advice, go to your accountant,
CPA,
stockbroker,
real estate agent,
psychiatrist,
psychologist,
loan officer,
therapist,
financial advisor.
or a credit analyst.
Nothing said during Money Elementary episodes should be construed as advice.
We're just two sisters who like to talk about all the S that we've been through and who've learned a few things while attending the school of life.
I can't wait to graduate.
Oh no!
Just kidding.
That's the funeral. Well, that took a dark turn fast. Anyway,
Just two cute savvy sisters with a decent internet connection,
a microphone,
a computer,
and way
too much time. What? We don't have that much time on our hands.
No, we don't.
But bottom line, all the content we share with you guys is stories of our true life experiences, shared anecdotally, and is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only.
We couldn't make this stuff up even if we wanted to. We hope you enjoy the information we give you and our show.
Thanks! This is Money Elementary.